I had a hard time, not a hard time, but for me it was very important to gain the people's trust. And I feel like with mine, not to say it's not important, because what they're doing is important to them, but in your case, I wonder if you, that sounds so, intense to gain their trust, and I wonder if have they seen the film? And what did they think about that?
That's actually a kind of interesting, funny story. Yeah, so it was difficult to gain their trust. The first time we tried to get a hold of two of the boys that are now in the movie, you're going to have to bleep this out, but they basically told us, to f off in those terms. And partly because they were protecting one of the women who ended up not testifying and whose kids were kidnapped. They were living together. But we did build this trust, and partly because they were homeless, and my partner and I, we just hung out with them and became friends. And people have asked us along the way, well, how do you blur the line between being a filmmaker and a friend? And you just said, what, every film is different, and you have to play it by ear, and you have to sort of realize that there's this reciprocity in telling a story. Somebody's giving you their story, and you can't just sort of, I'm going to film you eating out of a trash can and then, run home. We became their friends, and but so along the way, they didn't really know what a documentary was. So we actually filmed them, so we showed them Devil's Playground. I don't know how many, have you guys seen that? Which is about the Amish kids during Rumspringa when they get a chance to basically go out into sort of normal American life and test things out, and then they can go back. Well, our kids saw that and were really jealous. We're like, how come they get to go back? So we finally, and there's times where we let them kind of pick up the camera or talk to each other, do things like that. Some of the party footage they actually shot themselves with little handheld cameras, and but we just kept kind of working on that connection. So after filming for 2.5 years, almost 3 years, we finally got to our premiere, which was at Tribeca, and it was last April. And they hadn't seen the film. They'd seen maybe a couple little pieces here and there in the trailer. And so it was this huge, big event. We had them all out from Salt Lake, and my family, everybody there. And the night before, we knew there was going to be a lot of press and interviews, so we had somebody come to prep them. Like, okay, here's what interviewing is going to be like, here's what it's going to be like, and we're going to watch the movie the night before. And they said, no, we don't want to watch it the night before. We want to watch it with the audience. And my partner and I were just terrified because we thought, oh my God, there's nowhere to run at that point. But they were adamant, so we said, okay. So, the night comes, it comes up, they see themselves, huge on the screen, and they start giggling. Very opening scene, very serious, very dark, and they start giggling, and so we're kicking them under the chairs, And the movie plays, and we get up on stage, and we were going to sort of, let the audience know that they were there, and so we go, and now Bruce, Sam, and Joe, and they aren't there. So we're all standing on stage, and our executive producer's just looking around going, oh my God. And they had gone to the bathroom. One, because they drank a lot of Coke and popcorn, and two, because this was a really, really emotional moment for them. So they told us afterwards, they said, we sat in the bathroom and just cried and hugged each other. And, they loved it. And it was an amazing moment for us. And they came back up, everybody cheered them, and they had a lot of tears, but a lot of people came up, and so, it was that, and I'm sure you've probably experienced this. That's probably one of the most intense moments of making a documentary, is when you show that film to your subjects, and have you made true on your relationship with them.
It's a lot of trust.
A
I
lot
think
of
whenever
trust.
you have a main character or characters driving a film, you're really trying to make sure that you don't kind of betray the trust that they've put in you.
And being willing to disappoint them sometimes too. There's a couple pieces in there that they probably don't want in there, but we felt like were important to the film.